Clara, don't be dramatic. Daniel needs his phone. It won't take long.
And before I could move, before I could scream again, my father pulled the plug. The steady beep turned into a flat line. I jumped up, panic crashing over me like a wave. Nurses rushed in. The doctor followed. They tried everything, every desperate measure, but it was too late. My baby, my little girl, was gone. I stood there frozen, my heart ripped open, as Daniel casually plugged in his phone and started tapping on his screen again. "What did you do? She was all I had!"
Clara, calm down. You can have another one someday.
It's not like it was a real baby yet, just premature. Don't overreact. Chill, Clara. At least my phone works now.
That moment burned itself into my soul. The doctor didn't let it slide. My name is Clara, but for as long as I can remember, I never really felt like part of my own family. Not because I wasn't there, but because I wasn't seen. My parents only ever had eyes for my brother, Daniel. Daniel was the golden child. He looked just like my dad. Same sharp jawline, same brown eyes, same cocky grin that could fool anyone who didn't know better. He was a boy, the heir to my father's name, and that alone was enough to make him their everything. But on top of that, he had talent. At least that's what they called it. He played football, he ran track, he could dribble a basketball halfway across town. He was the neighborhood's little hero, and me, I was just there.
Daniel, honey, look at you run. You're going to make the school team for sure.
That's my boy, just like me when I was young.
Dad, I got an A on my math test.
Good, good. Did you see your brother's new time on the track, though? Outstanding.
That was how it always was. Birthdays? Daniel got surprise parties, soccer balls, and the newest video games. I still remember one year. They rented a bouncy castle just for him and invited half the neighborhood. Mom baked a 3-tiered cake with his face printed in edible icing. Everyone sang, and Daniel stood there like a prince soaking in his kingdom's applause. Me? I got sweaters 2 sizes too big because Mom found them on sale at the clearance rack. No candles, no singing, just a plastic bag handed to me at the kitchen table. Graduations? When Daniel graduated middle school, Dad rented an entire hall. There were balloons, streamers, a DJ blasting music, even a slideshow of baby pictures to show how special his journey had been. He walked in wearing a suit Dad had bought him, and people actually gave him envelopes stuffed with cash. When I graduated, I came home holding my diploma, still in my wrinkled gown, and Dad barely looked up from the TV. "Dad, I did it. Top of my class."
Good. Did you hear Daniel's already training for varsity? That's real achievement.
Then he shook my hand like I was a stranger. No hall, no balloons, not even a family dinner. And when it came to sickness, Daniel caught a cold once, just a mild fever, and Mom took off work to hover over him. She made homemade soup, kept a thermometer in her pocket, and fluffed his pillows every hour. She told the neighbors,
My poor boy is so fragile. I just can't leave his side.
but when I had pneumonia, I lay in bed shivering, coughing so hard I could barely breathe. Mom left for work like nothing was wrong. Dad muttered something about me being dramatic. It wasn't until my aunt stopped by, horrified at my condition, that someone finally got me to a doctor.
She could have died. How could you ignore this? Kids get sick all the time. Besides, Daniel had a big game that week. I couldn't let him down.
But the worst part wasn't just their favoritism. It was the fact that Daniel knew it. He basked in it. He strutted around like a little king, lording it over me.
Face it, Clara. You're just background noise in this family.
I'm your sister, Daniel.
No, you're just the person who makes me look better. Don't take it personally.
I tried to ignore it, tried to build my own life. I studied hard, got into a decent college, and eventually got a job. And when I fell in love and got pregnant, I thought maybe things would change. Maybe having a child would bring my parents' love to me at last. But I was wrong. My baby came early, far too early. She was premature and needed to stay in the neonatal intensive care unit. Every beep of her machine, every tiny breath she took was a miracle. I sat there for hours, whispering promises to her fragile body. And my parents? They didn't even bother visiting most days. When they did, it was only because Daniel was with them, and Daniel didn't care about my baby. He'd sit in the hospital room, whining about his phone battery, about being bored, about wanting to go home and play video games, and then came the day that changed everything. It was late afternoon. I was exhausted, half asleep in the chair beside my baby's incubator. The machines beeped softly, steady, keeping her alive. My parents were there, standing off to the side, and Daniel was sprawled in a chair, his phone nearly dead.
Mom, Dad, my phone's at 1%. I need to charge it. I'm about to win this level. Do you have a charger? Yeah, but there's no outlet.
What about that plug? It's just one cord. She'll be fine for a second.
No, that's her life support. Don't touch it.
Clara, don't be dramatic. Daniel needs his phone. It won't take long.
And before I could move, before I could scream again, my father pulled the plug. The steady beep turned into a flat line. I jumped up, panic crashing over me like a wave. Nurses rushed in. The doctor followed. They tried everything, every desperate measure, but it was too late. My baby, my little girl, was gone. I stood there frozen, my heart ripped open, as Daniel casually plugged in his phone and started tapping on his screen again. What did you do? She was all I had.
Clara, calm down. You can have another one someday.
It's not like it was a real baby yet, just premature. Don't overreact. Chill, Clara. At least my phone works now.
That moment burned itself into my soul. The doctor didn't let it slide. He called security, then the police. There was an investigation, and when the truth came out, that my parents had unplugged my baby's machine so Daniel could charge his phone, they were arrested. I testified, shaking with grief and rage. The hospital staff testified too, and my parents were sentenced to prison. You'd think that would be the end, but it wasn't, because my revenge had only just begun. When you lose everything, you either break or you sharpen. I sharpened. While my parents were in prison, I discovered that inmates crave gossip. The story of my parents spread like wildfire. Everyone knew them as the monsters who killed their own granddaughter for a phone charge. The guards mocked them. The inmates spat in their food. They couldn't walk the halls without hearing jeers.
Hey, Grandma Killer, got a spare charger? Careful, don't let them near the outlets. They'll pull your plug.
They lived in humiliation day after day. And to twist the knife deeper, I booked every single visitation slot they had for an entire year. No one else could visit them, not even Daniel. They sat there in their cells, waiting, hoping only to be told, no visitors today. As for Daniel, without my parents around to baby him, he floundered. He never finished school. He sank into drugs. The once talented golden boy became a shell of himself. He ended up taking a job at a cemetery, cleaning graves, mowing grass, trimming weeds. He went from being the boy who thought the world revolved around him to the man who picked cigarette butts off strangers' tombstones. Irony has a dark sense of humor. Sometimes I dream of my baby. I see her tiny face, her fragile hands, and I wonder what kind of life she would have had if she'd been given the chance. And sometimes I see my parents in those dreams too, haunted, afraid, running from shadows of their own making. They tell me they're sorry, but I never answer, because I don't forgive. The twist? My parents told the police they unplugged the machine because Daniel needed to finish his video game. Imagine that. A child's life ended for pixels on a screen. And now my brother spends his days surrounded by headstones, cleaning up after the dead. Justice isn't always served in a courtroom. Sometimes it's served slowly, painfully over time. And me? I found peace, in my own way. I started volunteering at the NICU, helping other parents of premature babies. Maybe I couldn't save my daughter, but I could help someone else save theirs. So yeah, that's my story. My family chose my brother over me my whole life. And in the end, all they got was prison, shame, and a son who threw his life away. Guess you could say my parents really pulled the plug on their future. And if you're still listening, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next story.